Hey crew, welcome back. Celeste here for our channel. I am making another video just because I feel like I wanted to stay consistent with the weekly channels, depending on the days that I can do them. So the only reason I'm doing it right now, with the little bit of time that I do have, my mom went to the store. She went to walk to our daughter's store that's like next to Clear Sky House, and then my sister's at work. So I'm at home, and yeah, I was on Instagram. I mean, I've been on Instagram for a minute today. And as you guys know, I'm starting the ABSN program in fully whenever I finish my TEAS exam this month, next month. And there's a page that I have that I don't really utilize anymore. I was going to keep utilizing that, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a new page that's more like aesthetically aesthetic. It's still kind of not aesthetic as I want it to be, but it's gonna get there. So I logged into the page because I saw a message. I was like, oh, I don't really use this page like that. So let me find out. There was like a person in DC. She's like a female black woman in DC. She's also going to be in the same program that I'm starting in August. I was like, oh, okay, I might have a friend for the program, like a friend for the program, like a study buddy or something. We can like study together if we have to. Um, because the only thing that's in person is the clinicals and the simulate the lab and the sim, all that stuff. Like that's the only thing that will be in person, which is so much better because if you think about it, every other ABSN program that I've looked at really was on campus, and I didn't apply to any of those because of like one I can't do because one I was going to do where I used to work. GW had a nursing program like what, but theirs was so different. I was like, y'all main school is in DC, but their whole nursing was gonna be in Virginia. I said, well, never mind. I was like, you guys can't take up all the space, right? So I did not apply there. I started, I think, but I didn't finish because I was like, you know what, this isn't going to be for me. And plus, I think it's like 16 months. It was too many prerequisites that I needed, and I definitely did not have. As y'all know, I wasn't a science major. I've never been a science major. Like I had nursing at Chamberlain for like a year, and then I left because COVID hit, and I was failing A&P1 twice. So I had to like really revamp myself and then go to a different program. I was going to do nursing at Trinity in DC where I graduated from in 23, but that would have taken me another 4 years. They said, I said, well, no, thank you. Either way, I would have graduated last year anyway, because it would have been a 4 year. Then I got in there in 2021. So I was like, you know what, let me find something that's going to keep me out of here too. So I did my health services with the community health worker certificate. That came with the degree, so that wasn't anything extra. And then I went to a law school online, and I did a master's of legal studies and human rights for a year, 2024, which was like I'm gonna always be grateful that I have that because if you guys know me, like I said, I advocate for a lot of things, whether it's healthcare rights, women's rights, you know, reproductive, gun violence prevention, anything that you can name. Because, like I said, the type of nurse that I want to be, which is primarily nursing, will be my full time job. Will be an ER nurse, night shift mostly. Because I don't like the day. Like this is my type of thing that I do during the day. But when I start my night shift, I will not be waking. I will not be awake at this time. I will be in my bed getting ready for work, or at least like waking up by this time. So at least I know I have time to get myself together. Because usually, like night shift jobs in my area, it's like 7 p.m. to 7 a, or 11 p to 7 a, or depending on the type of hospital I want to work in, because I already have hospital experience, so it's not really anything too major for me to not get one. And I worked in the hospital as an MA, so some hospitals do hire us if they have like a primary care office or department of medicine within the hospital, and that's like how I was working at Hospital Center when I was at Trinity because their Department of Medicine was in the hospital. So I was like, I was utilizing my job and then going to school across the street. So it was very close and feasible for me to go to school and work at the same time. Now, this program wasn't out then. It actually started last year for the cohort that I was going to be in. But unfortunately, I had to, like I show y'all, revamp. I had to push my start until this fall. So I realized, like, okay, how would I do this tuition? So next thing I'm going to talk about right now is the tuition. I got shared last week, I think. The tuition is 22, about 22, 420. No, 22, damn. $20,220. I can't ever calculate or count, so don't do that. Don't ask me for numbers. That's how much the tuition is, because every semester is like that same amount. So it's a 12-month program, and it's 70 plus grand. A lot of money. So I was like, okay, and that's a semester. This is a fall semester. So I was like, okay, how am I gonna pay for the tuition? So I told y'all that I got approved. I don't know if I ever shared that I got approved finally again for the Grad Plus loans. And the only reason I kind of got approved, I guess, is because actually I'm not working. And I'm actually not working right now because I lost my job from this acquisition that my job did have. So they didn't take me along with them. I'm kind of okay with that because at the end of the day, I kind of benefited from it with this one refund, and then just being able to get these loans to help me pay for this program, and then hopefully wait for the scholarships. Hopefully, if I get that, that'll be grateful. And I do get refunds from the program that I'm also in anyway. So it's like at the end of the day, that does help me because at the end, I will also be in the program at the same time as my counseling degree. So that I did it that way so I could afford, one, find a way to afford it, and two, get the degrees at the same time, because honestly I don't want to finish my counseling degree then get into the ABSN program, because is the counseling is going to be a part of my full-time job. But realistically speaking, nurses really work like 3 or 4 shifts out of a week, considering that's their full-time. And then the counseling, I do want to primarily do that more so online. And then if I ever have to go in person for the counseling, I have to find out where I would even open a practice at, because I don't even know like fully where I would directly be utilizing my practice for the counseling degree. But I know the type of population that I want to utilize it for. That's why I went into it. And that's why I also like expressed that in my interview, one for domestic violence survivors and gun violence survivors, and like young people who have been impacted by gun violence, because I'm also an active shooter drill generation growing up, because the older generations really had to worry about fire drills. We have to worry about a shooter coming into our campus or our schools and having to either barricade ourselves in the room or finding a way out of the premises. So that's what I grew up in. So yeah, right now it's like next week, I believe the 15th. After the 15th, we get a little bit more information about everything, like classes. Well, those are not classes, because classes are asynchronous, um, and lectures and everything. But the lab and the clinical and the sim is all, those are like the main things that'll be in person. Like I said, the lab and the simulations will be on campus. But for the clinical, you do that outside at a site. Hopefully, I get to choose one in Maryland, because that's the only way this surprise will work. Because if I go to DC, they're gonna be like, "What are you doing over there?" And it's like I can still utilize the same surprise thing at the end and make it seem like, because the only way that I'm even gonna get this to work is that because my program in the end does have clinicals anyway. We call it practicums. That's what they usually call them. Like, oh, you got a practicum to do. We have those. And that's why my program does actually start us so early that we're starting now to counsel virtually, because my whole majority of my counseling degree is online completely, because I'm not ever going to go to Arizona for where my school is. So I mean, I can definitely utilize it that way, because you do have the option as a counseling student to do an in-person clinical, do your clinicals in person, or your practicum, sorry, in person. Because either way, I'm a clinical mental health counseling student, which meaning that I want something clinical on the mental health side. That's why I love the clinical side of healthcare. I don't really like the admin side. I never liked admin as much as I like clinical. So I am always going to really prioritize being hands on with a patient or working directly as a team or with a doctor because that's just what I like to do. And that is why I had to choose something with a clinical in front of it. And counseling was something, like I said, that came to me because I realized I like talking to people, and I was looking for something completely online with no in person aspect to it. Everything else was like, oh, you have to go to Houston or you have to go to Georgia for like 2 weeks. You have to pay for that your own way. I think Capella had that. I was like, why on earth would I ever go to that route if I had to do that? You know, they don't pay for that. So I was like, okay, you know what? No. I think the only real thing that this year I would have to travel for would be the um, thing in September that I have with Women's March. It's for 2 days. I think it's the 25th to the 27th. I will be up in Houston. I think they're gonna fly. Do I have a course today? Oh, wait a minute. I hope I didn't miss it. Hold on. Because either tonight or I already missed it. I don't know, y'all. Feminist training at 8. Okay, girl, I got it. It was today at 8. I was really I was like, I can't miss any trainings or they give your spot to somebody else. And I was like, look, I'm actually keeping these dates on my. It's just really 3 because one, I have class at 7, my second class for this quarter that just started yesterday, and then right after that, I will hop on to the training at 8. So the only way I can go to that one in September is because I actually applied for the Obama Foundation fellow thing. Haven't heard back on that. I think they are still doing like applications or whatever. Haven't even heard any process or anything update. But I'm going to utilize that as the reason that I will be traveling to Texas and that everything is covered. So, and I fly on my own, realistically speaking, anyway. I've done that twice, and I went to Florida with my sister. She flew for the first time for her birthday this past May, Memorial Day weekend. That was her first time, so that was my third time flying, but with somebody first time. So this next one, September, will most likely be on my own, or I don't know because I don't know if I could ask my partner, but the person I'm with, to come with me because maybe I can. And if he can, I would definitely appreciate that. But if he can't, then I understand that he can't come with me those 2 days. I don't. He's also in the military, so I really just can't be bothering that man if they have training or whatever. And then he works for a very hard job, so I really can't ask him too much about that either. So maybe I'll ask him, but I will let y'all know about that too. Also, I know y'all didn't do what I asked y'all to do for last week's video. To comment, do not overthink. I didn't have to overthink. I was overthinking, and I didn't have to, so I kind of didn't really need y'all to do that anymore because I know I don't get a lot of views on here. But for the people that do watch, it's okay that y'all didn't comment. Do not overthink because I actually decided to ask him the questions that I wanted to, and he actually made me feel more reassured of myself that everything was okay. I was really worried that we weren't okay, but we are. And I'm excited about that because that's what me and him are literally been going on strong for a year, knowing each other for a year and some months now. So it's like, yeah. But it's like up to 14 minutes now almost. So, um, I have like now a study potential. I have a study buddy. It's not potential. Like we're gonna study together. Hopefully, meet in person for like labs and clinicals. Well, clinicals, I don't know where we're gonna have the same location because she actually lives in DC. I don't. I live in Maryland, so I will still be making that commute up there if I have to use a hospital or something for DC. Whatever, fine. But I primarily gonna try to prioritize the Maryland hospital location. And then if we ever have to study or if we ever get a clinical site together, we can definitely find a way to like carpool, link up. But I know for like clinical, not clinical, lab and simulation, we most likely will be in the same cohort because she's actually starting in August as well. So I'm excited about that. So I have one friend I know. So I'll leave it here. May do a part 2, but depending on how much time I have before my mother gets back, I will let y'all know. But if y'all don't hear from me, then y'all will hear from me either tomorrow or sometime this week Y'all stay safe. So like, comment, subscribe, and share my channel with people you know. Peace out.